There is something no one tells you about anxiety. They tell you to breathe through it, to meditate it away, to manage it, control it, survive it. But no one tells you that it might be the most powerful thing inside you. And until you understand that, you will spend your entire life fighting a war against yourself. You felt it. That quiet unease before something important, the restlessness at 2 a.m. when the world is asleep, but your mind refuses to be. That knot in the chest that shows up without warning, in the middle of a conversation, in the silence after a decision, in the stillness of a life that looks fine from the outside. Most people assume this feeling means something is wrong with them, that the anxiety is proof of weakness, that calm, successful, grounded people don't feel this way. But here's what most people never stop to consider. What if anxiety isn't a malfunction? What if it's a signal you are never taught to read? In the 17th century Japan, there lived a man named Miyamoto Musashi. He is remembered as perhaps the greatest swordsman who ever lived, undefeated in over 60 duels, author of the Book of Five Rings, a text studied by strategists, philosophers, and warriors to this day. But history tends to polish its legends until humanity disappears. What history rarely tells you is that Musashi grew up without his parents, thrust into a world of expectation, survival, and uncertainty before he had the language to understand any of it. His early years were not defined by victory. They were defined by defeat, by doubt, by the very feeling you are sitting right now. Musashi knew anxiety intimately, and he made a choice that changed everything. He did not try to eliminate it, he listened to it. Think about what a sword goes through before it becomes a sword. The raw steel is heated until it glows red, then beaten, folded, heated again, beaten again. This process is not gentle, it is not comfortable. It looks from the outside like destruction. But without that chaos, the steel remains brittle, unreliable, ordinary. Musashi understood that his anxiety was the forge. Every restless night was the fire. Every doubt was the hammer. And he, like the steel, was being shaped into something that could not be broken. Most people do one of two things with anxiety. They either run from it, filling the silence with noise, the stillness with distraction, the discomfort with numbing, or they are swallowed by it, interpreting every wave of unease as evidence that they are failing, that they are not enough, that something fundamental is wrong. Both responses share the same misunderstanding. They treat anxiety as the enemy, but Musashi saw it differently. He noticed that anxiety sharpened his attention. Before every duel, the unease in his body made him more present, not less. It scanned for weakness, for blind spots, for things comfort would never reveal. He did not show courage by pretending the fear wasn't there. He let the fear sit beside him and then moved forward anyway. This is what most people misunderstand about fearlessness. Fearlessness is not the absence of anxiety. It is the refusal to let anxiety make your decisions. Musashi is known for creating a fighting style called Niten Ichi Ryu. 2 swords, 1 warrior. One sword was fast, instinctive, driven by immediacy. The other was patient, deliberate, and rooted in precision. Neither sword could win alone. It was only in their balance that the style became something extraordinary. This was not just a technique, it was a philosophy. Because inside every human being, there are 2 forces in constant negotiation. One is the voice of anxiety, urgent, alert, alive with energy. The other is the voice of wisdom, slow, quiet, certain.
Most people hear only the first voice. They either obey it completely or they exhaust themselves trying to silence it. What Musashi discovered through decades of solitude, reflection, and ruthless self-honesty was that these two voices were not enemies, they were partners, and the warrior who learned to hold both without being controlled by either, that warrior was truly dangerous. There is a moment in Musashi's later life that is rarely discussed. After decades of duels, after the legend had been written, he retreated into a cave called Reigando. No audience, no disciples, no battles, just darkness, silence, and himself. It was there that he wrote his final work, not a manual of sword techniques, but a meditation on emptiness, on the void, on what remains when everything external falls away. The man who had defeated every opponent he ever faced spent his final years facing the only opponent he could never fully defeat, himself, his legacy, his expectations, the weight of being the person the world believed him to be. And in that cave, he did not try to resolve the tension, he sat inside it. He let the anxiety of impermanence wash over him and found at the bottom of it something quiet and unshakable. This is the truth that Musashi's life has been trying to hand you. Anxiety does not mean you are losing. It means you are alive to what matters. It means some part of you cares deeply enough to feel the weight of it. The person who feels nothing before a difficult conversation, who risks nothing, who stands for nothing, they do not experience anxiety, but you do, because you are in the arena. You are no longer someone who treats anxiety as a defect to be fixed. You are becoming someone who recognizes it as a compass, pointing, always, towards the edges of your growth. You are no longer someone who runs from the discomfort of the forge. You are becoming someone who understands that the fire is part of the process, that you are not being destroyed, you are being made. You are no longer someone who confuses the absence of fear with strength. You are becoming someone who walks forward with the fear still present, held loosely like a second sword. Musashi spent his life refining one single truth. Mastery is not the elimination of struggle, it is the transformation of it. Your anxiety is not evidence that you are broken, it is evidence that you are being forged. And every warrior who has ever become something worth remembering passed through exactly this fire and chose to stay in it long enough to become the blade. Until our next video, stay in touch with Pocket Philosophy. Thank you.